it could turn criminal really fast. They're just using a civil suit to knock down a lot of your money. I'm seeing this happen with a lot of rappers, a lot of athletes, and people not paying attention to that.
He wouldn't take no for an answer, so he overpowered me, put me to my knees, put his pee in my mouth.
It must be targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of this tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine.
Really taken some unexpected turns, hasn't it?
It really has. Just when you think you have a handle on it, something new emerges. It started, of course, with that lawsuit.
Right. Filed by Gabriella Zuniga, Gabby. She's a 21-year-old OnlyFans model.
And that initial detail, the age difference, really caught attention. She was 19. He was, around 54 when they apparently met in LA.
Exactly. And the first claims were about him being controlling, demanding she be available constantly.
Which is concerning in itself, but then it escalated significantly.
Yeah, into these really serious accusations of sexual assault. That's when it shifted from maybe relationship drama to something much darker.
And the speed this took off online was, typical internet speed, I suppose. Instant.
Absolutely. Details about Gabby, her identity, it was all out there almost immediately. Lots of opinions flying around.
Fierce opinions, definitely. But then May jumps into the conversation.
Yes, May.
Yeah.
And his take is something else.
He's looking beyond the civil suit, isn't he? He sees it as step one.
Totally. He's basically saying this lawsuit, which is about money, damages, it's just the opening move.
He thinks it's setting the stage for criminal charges, like actual jail time potential.
That's exactly his angle.
Yeah.
He's convinced the strategy is to drain Shannon's finances with this civil case first.
Sort of weaken him before the possibility of a criminal indictment even lands.
Yeah, bleed him dry is the phrase he used, I think. He genuinely seems to believe Sharpe is heading for prison over this.
It's a controversial theory that civil suits are used tactically like that. It happens, but it's a strong claim to make publicly.
Definitely a strong claim. Okay, let's unpack what Gabby herself is alleging. It's pretty disturbing stuff.
It is. She talks about meeting him at that gym, her being 19, and then this alleged pattern of control.
The 247 availability thing.
Right. But the core of the suit seems to be those two alleged incidents in January 2025.
And the timing she mentions for the first one. It was right after Sharpe had that Instagram Live scandal with another woman.
That's what she claims. That whole situation was messy already, and she says this alleged assault happened right after, when she supposedly tried to break things off.
So the narrative she presents is him persuading her to meet up after his public issue, and then the alleged assault occurs.
It paints a complex picture, certainly, and the second alleged incident sounds even more troubling.
Yeah, later in January 2025, she said he showed up at her place, supposedly with gifts.
And then allegedly forced himself on her again. The details include ignoring her pleas for protection, going beyond consent.
And that text message, the one she supposedly sent right after. Have you seen the reported text?
I have. It's quite graphic and direct.
But I cried when you left because I begged you to put a condom on and not put it in my a-hole, and you didn't listen. I don't care what our history is. No means no.
If that text is authentic and accurately represents the situation, it's powerful. It's a very clear statement of non-consent and distress.
Its release definitely shifted the public perception, or at least hardened some opinions.
No doubt. But then Sharpe's legal team fired back. They didn't just sit on this.
No, they leaked alleged texts from Gabby, trying to flip the script.
Right. There was one from October 2023 referencing wanting a dog collar and being choked during sex.
And another one from January 1st, 2025, just before that second alleged incident.
The one mentioning payment. $25,000 for each cheat, I think was the quote reported.
Yeah. The clear implication being their relationship was transactional, consensual, and involved specific, maybe kinkier elements.
The strategy seemed to be paint her as not credible, suggest this was all part of an arrangement.
But it seemed to massively backfire, didn't it?
It really did. The public reaction wasn't what they likely intended.
Why do you think that was? Was it just releasing private texts felt slimy? Or did the content itself not really negate her claims?
Probably a bit of both. You know, leaking private messages, especially sexually explicit ones, can look like shaming or intimidation.
Like punching down.
Exactly. And even if those texts are real, they don't necessarily disprove a later instance of non-consent. Consent is specific to the moment.
Right. What happened in October doesn't automatically mean consent in January.
Precisely. So I think people saw it as a clumsy deflection, maybe even victim blaming, and it just didn't sit well.
And then came the audio.
The recordings. released by Gabby's lawyer, Tony Busby.
Claimed to capture Sharpe making threats. Pretty serious ones.
So the reported line was him saying he'd choke the shit out of you. That's stark language.
If true, it adds a whole other layer of alleged coercion and intimidation.
Absolutely. Audio evidence can be incredibly powerful in these cases, if it's authenticated.
And that's the counter, isn't it? Sharpe's camp suggesting they might be edited, manipulated.
It's the standard and often necessary defense against audio or video evidence these days. Tampering is possible. Forensic analysis would be key.
So it becomes another point of contention. Okay, let's loop back to Mai and his theories because they are memorable.
He was particularly struck by the reported $10 million offer from Sharpe to Gabby, wasn't he?
Yeah, he flat out said that offer screams guilt. His logic was basically, I wouldn't offer $10 million if I didn't do anything.
It's a common interpretation in the court of public opinion. See a big settlement offer, assume guilt.
But legally, it's more nuanced, right? It could just be damage control.
It could be purely strategic. Cheaper to settle than fight a long, public, damaging case, even if you believe you're innocent. It's risk assessment.
But May isn't buying that. And he has a theory for why the $10 million was supposedly rejected.
This is where it gets really intricate, the pimp's theory.
Right. He speculates there are these other figures involved who wanted a bigger payday and told Gabby, or pressured her, not to take the quick $10 million.
Suggesting she might not be entirely in control of the situation herself. It's a dramatic claim.
Very dramatic. And needs, actual evidence. It's pure speculation for May at this point.
Entirely, but then he connects it to Sharpe's career.
Oh yeah, the timing. May claims this all blew up just as Sharpe was supposedly about to sign a massive podcast deal. Like $100 million, massive.
Which, if true, adds a potential motive for someone wanting to derail things. Sabotage.
Exactly. He's implying this could be a setup, orchestrated by people who'd benefit if Sharpe's deal collapsed or if he was taken down a peg.
It introduces this idea of a conspiracy, essentially. High-level maneuvering behind the scenes.
It's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
May also made that point about the civil suit draining finances before potential criminal charges.
Yes, that pattern he claims to see with athletes, rappers, use the civil system to inflict financial pain first.
Make it harder for them to fund a strong defense if or when criminal charges follow.
It's a known, albeit ethically debated, potential strategy in high-stakes legal fights.
Okay, so just as we're trying to process all that, the past resurfaces.
The allegations from Michelle Evans, his ex, they came back into the spotlight.
Right. They're the restraining order she filed in 2023, and she also sued him for defamation.
But her claims go way back, don't they, to 2010?
All the way back. And they are deeply disturbing. She alleged an argument about cheating turned violent.
Accusing him of forcing a sexual act on her then, too.
Yes, and making a threat that is chillingly familiar now.
The line about, I'll make it so no other man will want you.
Exactly. Which sounds incredibly similar to the threat Gabby alleges he made years later.
What was the line Gabby reported? Something about punishing her.
You've disrespected me so much, I'm going to punish this a-hole. I'm going to make it so no man will want you again.
Wow. The parallel is stark. That specific, unusual threat appearing in two separate accounts years apart.
It makes you pause, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How likely is that exact phrasing to be independently fabricated or coincidental?
It's the kind of detail that investigators look at very closely. It could suggest a pattern, a signature phrase, if you will. It certainly adds weight.
And Michelle Evans didn't stop there. Her 2023 restraining order application included claims of further violence, threats, stalking.
So it wasn't just the alleged 2010 incident. She's describing a longer pattern of alleged abuse and harassment leading up to the restraining order.
It paints a very troubling picture. But Sharpe's team has a response to this too, naturally.
Let me guess. Dismiss it as old news, irrelevant, motivated by money.
Pretty much exactly that. Framing it as her trying to capitalize on the current scandal, calling her claims fabricated.
The standard playbook when past allegations resurface during a current crisis. Discredit the accuser's motives.
But it's harder to ignore when you have two different women alleging similar types of coercive behavior and even specific similar threats years apart.
The corroboration, even if circumstantial and separated by time, becomes compelling. It challenges the idea that these are isolated, unrelated incidents or simple fabrications.
So where does this leave us? We have the initial suit, the leaked texts, the audio, May's conspiracy theories, and now these resurfaced, very similar past allegations.
It's a perfect storm, legally and reputationally, for Shannon Sharpe. The pressure is immense and seems to be building.
That idea May floated, about potential jail time. It feels less like hyperbole and more like a tangible possibility now, doesn't it?
With allegations this serious, especially now with multiple accusers alleging similar patterns, criminal investigation is certainly a very real possibility authorities would consider. Nothing's filed, but the potential is there.
So recapping this deep dive, we started with Gabby Zuniga's lawsuit, saw the messy PR battle with leaked texts.
Then the potentially damaging audio recordings emerged, alongside May's theories about financial motives and larger conspiracies.
And finally, the circle back to Michelle Evans's earlier, disturbingly similar allegations from years ago.
It's evolved significantly, from what initially might have seemed like one accuser's claims to a situation with multiple alleged victims describing comparable experiences.
Which forces you to ask, is this a moment of reckoning for Sharpe? Is he actually going to face serious consequences for these things?
That's the million-dollar question, or perhaps the $100 million question, given May's podcast deal theory.
Or is there something more complex underneath it all? Is May onto something with the idea of a setup or external forces manipulating events?
The legal system will hopefully uncover the truth of the allegations themselves, but the why now and the surrounding circumstances, those might remain murky.
It really highlights the difficulty in sorting fact from speculation in these high-profile cases, especially with information flying so fast.
Absolutely. And how past allegations can suddenly gain new relevance, forcing a reevaluation of someone's entire public persona.
It's definitely a situation to keep watching. It feels like there are still chapters left to unfold here.
Indeed. And it leaves you wondering, beyond this specific case, how often the public narrative of celebrity scandals truly reflects the complexities and motivations hidden just beneath the surface.